Good morning. My name is Achalakul, Government Big Data Institute GBDI. Our mission is to use the AI to analyze the data of the government. So today we will talk about generative AI and how we manage data. So when we talk about the data or big data, we have to really put importance of data as much as IT. For example, if you're a bank and you have prospective customers, in the past, before the data era, when you want information, you have to go physically to the branch. And of course, information is all in the key on paper in the banking. So we don't have behaviors, it's just the data in the paper. So after that, from the enrolled customers, we create the customers' data. So when you want to buy any insurance from the banks, mostly people start from calling call center. So we have another set of data because we can track all the Q&A of call centers and we can use the data to analyze the products which are interesting to you, what focus you are on. So we can analyze the behaviors and develop products like that. Another way is that customers might go to the websites or use mobile bankings to survey the products of the insurers. And of course, the data will be beyond from going to the branch because every time that they click, every time that they move their mouse, we can see that the mouse is hover in what place or what review they are writing about, what they want, what they are interested in. So the kind of data, we can understand them more before they even buy your products or become your customers. Until they click and they become your customers, so you can understand their behaviors. So you see that is a new world of big data, and big data can be collected huge amount of information. So what is different is that mostly we used to talk about demography, all the data transactions mostly collected by the government, but now we are talking about behavioral data, and it can reflect more than just needs, desires, preferences, opinions. We can really see the needs, desires, preferences, and opinions, and not just what they bought. So in many industries they use. So our industries, we also use it a lot. Mostly in the US, they also collect such data. And when we talk about health insurance, for example, you want to buy one and you have you customize the insurance to tailor to the needs. For example, they use smartwatches or they use the metrics or they buy something from the grocery stores. We have behaviors like that, and we can charge not according to age and gender, but how they take care of their health. So I think that is a more direct way to collect information. So you see, we have more data and we can personalize our products to suit the demands of the customers more. We have a lot of sets of data, so what we can make of it. So when we talk about big data analytics, we have two ways. First, descriptive analytics. When we analyze like what, by, where, who, which is what, when, who, where, how, to be concluded on the statistics board. For example, if you are a public company, if you're a private company, you have dashboards like this, like the managers, your executives can look at the volumes, the sales, numbers, reports, expenses of each month, or loss and profits through the dashboard, and you can understand them more. So for the government, similarly, we have integrate all the information and plot on the dashboards to see the status of organization. So this is something we call it business intelligence or BI. Another thing is predictive analytics. So we use the AI or other data to really find patterns of behaviors of the customers, and you can predict the future from the past and the history. So I will give you an example, like if you were a bank, you want to sell products, and when you see the patterns of behaviors of customers, you know whether you want to buy, they will buy or not buy from you. And if you have history of your customers like 10 years in the past, so you see behaviors of them. For example, XYZ are factors like gender, age, or incomes or whatever. And then you classify them that they'll accept or reject your products. So if you have history of data like a decade, it's just like your officer in your bank, they know customers are gonna buy or not from the combination of reasons and factors why they buy. So one individual, you can look at it because all the millions sets of records is very difficult to match one by one. But AI can do it because AI and machine learning, they read every line for you and they form a model. We call it methodical math model. And the equations will represent the patterns that whether they accept or reject. What is the real formula? So from the models, we can implement into softwares. So new customers coming in, you can offer the same deal, and then you can use all the factors to expect, to forecast their behaviors, whether they will accept or reject. For example, 80% that they will accept and they will be converted into your customer base. So this is data that we can use from the discrete data to really understand and study the patterns. So after we can see the patterns, we can form into our models to forecast the future. So of course, all the information that we collected, if it's not good enough or is not huge enough, the prediction might not be that accurate. So forecasts like this, we call it supervised learning, labeled by human beings to use in your work. For example, related to our car insurance, we have detection with AI. For example, the cameras in front of you, they can have data that can detect that whether you are sleeping or not. Like when people are sleeping, they have patterns of blinking of the eyes and so on and so forth on your face. So we can collect behaviors of drivers for the insurers to be aware of. So you see, pictures and sensors can be used differently from the banks because the banks are collect only from the behaviors, information. But now the data is huge and we can predict patterns from behaviors and data from what we see. So we call it supervised learning. So you see unsupervised learning. So you are not sure whether which product you should recommend because we have a lot of products in your banks. So which product will suit them the most? If you really don't know them personally, how you can predict? Well, it's the same. What is different is here is that XYZ is going to be your factors without labeling. So you cannot really specify what are the needs. You have to find clusters with patterns, the behaviors. How many types of customers, which factors in which group. This is not about demography, but this is about behaviors. You can segment them into groups without knowing what segments they are. So you see the patterns of all the data scattering like this, the frequency of volume, the frequency and spendings of their money. And now, what you can do is that you can see the distribution of groups, which behaviors, and then you divine and do use the clustering techniques, and then marketing can focus on which factors to really segment the customers. So people will buy frequently, but people buy only when discounted. So you see many types of behaviors. This way we call it unsupervised learning. Why? Because this is unsupervised. You don't see it. You don't have patterns before, and you just predict that the new customers coming in, which behaviors are they in, which group they belong. So you can see that when you segment them into groups, you can recommend products to suit their needs. Like they bought this, they bought that from car insurance or accident. And what about health? They tend to buy this. So just like Netflix, that they know what they like and they segment from the past behaviors. So we can make use of AI with real data sets. So if you're business owners, this is very easy and applicable. Additionally, when we talk about AI, people think of the quality rather than the sets of data. Just look at these pictures. The machines are organizing the home. They learn. They learn how to organize books. They learn how to organize pillows, how to make it beautiful and neat. So in this dimension of AI, just like two examples that I gave you, that they look, that the pictures, all the pictures of these rooms, dirty, clean, neat, and then human beings will label, this is neat, this is dirty. So from all the data, we teach them to think, okay, this is neat, this is dirty. Then you can let them do it. That, okay, from these pictures, this is dirty. They know. And how we can make it neat. This is the same thing with different data sets. So we can use how we analyze information with patterns, just like banking, to identify people, the faces, the names. Of course, the faces are in the data required. So it's just like the differences of AI. We use the algorithm, like it looks like this, very lengthy, very difficult. We need a lot of equations. If I change my hair, they cannot detect. But now, what we do is more. We use face recognition with AI. We have pictures from all different degrees. What they collect is that they had to identify markers, biomarkers on your face, which is telling that this is really you. So perhaps your hair is a little bit different, or you wear a hat, it still can tell you that is you. Just like when you go in the office, they can identify you even when you are wearing masks. So you can see, perhaps they cannot identify you from mouth, but with AI, they can identify you from more. Just like the AI in the house, as you see from the example from this factories or industry, they can tell you that this is with helmet or not. So you can identify right away, very easy. This is the world of AI. Now I will take you to the generative AI slowly. At present, we have 3 levels of intelligence of AI. The first one, we call it artificial narrow intelligence, very narrowly, that when we use the AI, we have to prepare sets of data so that they understand how human beings make decisions on which data sets. So this is normal, just like Netflix, Recommender, AIS, Telecom. This is commercialized today. The other one is artificial general intelligence. This is like in all areas. In all areas, meaning we don't need data sets to train, but they think, they derive logic just like human beings. So this is still under research. This is still a baby. But of course, it's there, like just like game engines, like AlphaGo, from artificial intelligence. The other one is the future. Super intelligent, smarter than human in every way. We will take some time until we reach there in the distant future. But what is interesting today is the generative AI. Is it intelligence or not? For researchers, not really, because for artificial narrow intelligence, there are 2 types. The first one is analytics or predictive AI, what I talked about for the first half of my talk. But the second half is generative artificial intelligence, the GAI. Difference is that the other one is that we need data sets to predict the future, but generative AI is that they have data sets, we have data sets, with questions or prompts that they can generate. For example, they can generate texts like human beings to prepare speeches or whatever, images, text, or videos, just like Obama talks, and audio. In order to generate with generative AI, we need prompts. I will explain later what prompt is. Just like when you chat with ChatGPT, you have to prompt them. Let them generate results, whatever you want. The quality is not the same. It depends on your prompts. And if you are very good at your prompts or not to generate what you really want. So this is prompt engineering because you need, some know-how to really prompt it correctly. And you just make them write recommendation letters or essays or answer your questions or summarize things for you. This is something that we do every day. This is an example of the current system. We call it generative AI. The most famous one is, I think you know, ChatGPT. And many of you might use it. And ChatGPT is the chatbot, but the mechanism behind it, we call it GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, 3.5, and 4. This is the system that we have heard a lot, the most. But when the answer used, if you haven't bought it and it is a free version, it still belongs to 2021 and before that. But the new one is bought from Google. This is to answer your questions from real-time information from Google, just like Google search. I believe that a technology like displays, such as a video that can generate fake, just like my face like this, and we can just, use any words and just move my face to sync with the words. So DALL-E is when you use the images to explain the text, to explain in texts. And next, podcasts and co-starters all are pre-trained systems, which are generative AI, so generative code to replace programmers. They can do voice synthesis for podcasts and also generate video and pictures or influencers which are not really human beings. So they are all generative AIs. So when we look at this, the data that we use for generative AI here is that what we want to generate with the text, images, image, whatever that you want, they will form a model. And after that, what we need to do is prompt engineers. We ask or we put some information, some accurate information with good explanation, and then they will generate for you. So generally, Q&A, just like ChatGPT, they can do sentiment analysis from the social media. They can tell you that the sentiment is positive or negative, and they can pull information and summarize for you so that you can use from images or recognition whatsoever. There are a lot of texts for the new technology that we can really use. And when you use generative AI, you have to look at prompt engineering. Because many companies asked, hey, we need a new career path as a prompt engineer. I'm not sure about it, but people use it. So people will be better at prompting. And the content is better if you know how to prompt. So prompt engineer is the process that we structure texts so that AI can interpret and then generate the data for you. So prompt guide, if you're good at it, they can generate good input for you, and you can do it many different things. It depends on your prompt engineering. Of course, it's going to be a new career perhaps. This is an example of prompt engineer. Task description, what you want from AI, and then you have to do the input indicator. For example, if you want an essay, you have to tell them that, hey, I want you to write an essay. Input is what is it about, and personalize. Just give them a little bit that you want to personalize about it. And so you have to give an example of good output. So after all, everything, the language model, which is the natural language processing, they will study the patterns all together what they have seen and extract information from the database. They search Google, they search from the internet, depending on whether you pay for the real time or not, and the essay will come out. If you don't like any paragraphs or any sentences, you can reprompt. You can give them more information, then they summarize for you again. So you can write reports, annual reports, revenue summary, the enterprise version only because the data need to be uploaded to ChatGPT and also other brands. You can summarize easily, you can answer emails automatically, you can make prompt do it for you, draft for you. And then people can check and then we can send. So this is happening. People use technology like this for customer service, like chatbot, like tech support, customer service, or you can do deep fakes, like videos. We will have more and more like this in the future. I believe like the novels, they can generate a movie for you, or pictures can generate novels. Just like that, in and out, vice versa. We can use it to design products or translate. So use cases will happen a lot more if we try to use generative AI. What about the industry or businesses? We started using in what way? For example, insurance. This is from Data Robot. For insurance claims, for example, 24 hours, 7 days claims assistance and immediate response. We just use chatbot because you don't need as much manpower. And it's fast because for chatbot, they validate and then they just shoot in the system. And it'll be very, very quick because there's no human beings. Human beings are only assistants. Or fraud detection. Okay, they know this is fraud, this is redundant claims, or the billing is outstanding. They can detect right away that this is overbilling or fraudulent. So you can train the system and we can deploy with real data so that it can be more accurate. The other one is co-pilot, which means that it's going to assist agents to sell as a co-pilot. Because when we sell, if you are new, sometimes you don't remember things. You don't remember everything. So AI as a co-pilot is just like better than just look at Excel or fact sheets. Because when they ask anything, when the customers ask anything, if you buy the enterprise version with the data trained before, it's gonna be accurate. All the claim processing and everything, you can use it right away. What about retail? Just like customer service, sentiment analysis, product innovation, with prompts to help you think. For example, when you want to write an essay or do a research, they can propose you some topics, personalize your essay, and risk assessment to check the compliance in all dimensions. To check compliance and to assess risks, you have to look through all the documents, right? But all the documents can be trained, and then you can ask, and then can validate for you very, very fast. So for a good essay, you might take like 2 hours, but for AI, they can take 2 seconds. So 2 seconds depend on whether the prompt is good or not. So this is the new world that many of you have to learn about technology in our country. We have to look at it. And for insurance industry, just like other businesses like the retail, they use chatbots to service the customers. It's very fast, quick, we don't need to wait. What we want to see is that how to make it efficient and more accurate, to interpret questions and give answers. So the interaction is better. Now, chatbots in the insurance industries, we just look at the training policies, policy information, all kinds of products, And we also look at the personalized codes because, of course, we ask from customers like health. We ask about, okay, you have health history, how much you want to pay, what about OPD, how much you want per time, what about IPD, all the billings, all the questions can be fed. And the generative AI can generate policies that fit you. So this is something that we can do. One more thing. User behaviors questions that we can learn from the behaviors of customers. We can learn from the patterns, and the co-pilot can help you with sales or pilot marketing to plan better, to plan policies better, to suit the needs of customers. So you can see many things here that we can do with prompts and chatbots. We can answer in many levels. For example, overview, for example, in-depth, so that you can offer better. So if you're executives or managers, you can ask in many levels. It depends on your prompts. So this is very meaningful. For generative AI for many industries and businesses, we can use ChatGPT. For the GPT here, it's going to be built in Google 365. So Word, PowerPoint, Excel, we have Copilot built in. Copilot, it means that it's going to be your assistant on the side screen. For example, Word, it can help you summarize or write from Word. You don't need to go to other windows. So PowerPoint, they can create presentations. You just give them ideas, and then they can just generate anything. You need to visualize yourself. Or for Excel, you have a lot of spreadsheets. They can offer you analytics insights to suit your needs. So you can see that Microsoft pilots all together with ChatGPT, they can do like this, which is another technology that can be commercialized soon. You don't need to do anything much, you just need to pay. So all the generative AI is there. Or law, for law, ChatGPT also are built co-pilot to work on a case, because for Thailand I also taught with courts that all the evidence, reports, witness statements to train generative AI. So perhaps the courts or the judges just look like something similar, or some cases similar to this one. We used to take a lot of stuff, and it takes so much time to really look at all the cases. But now it will take like minutes, right? With ChatGPT or the AI. So the technology is there, and we can see that Google have something like this as well, and Huawei as well. Many brands have generative AI. You have to prepare all the information or relevant information, documents, narrow intelligence, yet without any human beings. All the staff, experts have to label the information and documents, and you need programmers that understand the sets of data to deploy up there. And the data sets will have to be used to train on cloud, so that you can give the prompt back to the officers. So you can see the difficulties to a certain extent. It's just not like ChatGPT that you can chat right away, because it's the middle engine. But for this one, when you deploy, you need some power and money. And you can see that the technology is up and coming. Everybody has to look. And we don't want to spend too much for little, right? So we have to look at your demands and look at your industry return on investment. If you invest in such technology, what do you gain? And what kind of manpower that you need, like human resources and technology, to deploy technology in your industry. Another thing is that I have to warn you, sometimes when you use technology like this, there is a data set labeled by human. So when you prepare data sets with biases, everyone has their own, their own perspective and biases in the AI. What happens is that labeling might affect AI, and when you deploy as a model, the AI might be worse because we have judgment and ethics. So when we see some weird results, AI will not see it as weird. They just predict anything as patterns. And we use AI as co-pilot, which means that it's not solo. We still need ourselves. We still see that the narrow intelligence still have some bias, and so we need human in the loop, which means that AI is going to be your co-pilot, and we go together. And when you deploy the system, IT has to manage the expectations of your management, because when you read articles, when you see from websites, when you deploy in your organizations, might not be that way. So this is from me today. Roughly, technology, big data, they use AI a lot. And what data is, what types of AI are there, what are the pros and what are the pros of generative AI. So AI bias is also something that we have to keep in mind. This is from me. Thank you.